starting the new unit. We're starting Unit 2. It's all going to be on Chapter 3. Alright? And all we're going to talk about is decimals. Alright? And as we were talking about earlier today, we were talking about the standards, talking about being able to talk about the standard algorithm with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals. Okay, so you guys remember that we talked about it. Now remember, we went back to kindergarten and we talked about what? We talked about our ones place. We learned, that was one of the first things we learned. We learned about our ones, our tens, our hundreds. Alright, and then around 3rd, 4th grade, all of a sudden, a teacher introduced us to this red little dot here, the decimal point. Okay, and with the decimal point we learned what? We learned there were more place values to talk about. And we started talking about tenths and hundredths and thousandths. Okay? Now, when you were in kindergarten and you first started learning how to count, and we talked about it, you guys started learning about, we learned this. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Alright? And then the teacher said, okay, now if I have 2 and I take away 1, how many do I have left? 1. These are ones, folks. Alright? And then as you got a little bit further along in your academic careers, a teacher came along and they started talking about the tens place. And they said, well, what happens if we have 21 plus 1? Right? Now, we talked about this earlier today. All your life, early on in school, they started trying to teach you how to read. And they pushed top, bottom, left to right. Now, naturally, that's what you learn. Top, bottom, left to right, that's how I do work. Alright? Developmentally, you picked it up. So then when we started doing math, what did we find out? We go in reverse of what we've been taught all the way up until now. Okay, so you guys got to remember that part of it. Okay? Now, when I'm adding here, right? Everybody, I know you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, the answer's 21, or 22, Mr. Herno, that's true or 2. Well, to solve it using the standard algorithm, we have to do 1 plus 1. So we add our ones column, that gives us 2. We add our tens columns, 10, nothing there, that means 0. 2, which gives us a total of 22, or a sum of 22. Alright, you guys are like, oh, Mr. Hearn, this is so easy. Okay? Alright, so we're always going to add up our ones and our ones, our tens and our tens, right? We should never be adding tens and ones together, right? No, we shouldn't. Alright, we want to keep everything lined up. Which brings us to a point where we have to talk about one thing. Let's do this. Let's make it nice and pretty, shall we? And just to make sure you're paying attention, let's add a 1 there. Alright, so in this problem right here, alright, we have 1.31 plus 0.721. And we know we can only add ones and ones. And thousandths and thousandths, right? And hundredths and hundredths. So when I go to solve this problem, remember we've talked about addition. It doesn't matter which one goes first, but when we line it up using the standard algorithm, when we line it up, folks, this is where the problem comes in. And we talked about this ad nauseum today. And what we say, it's you gotta line up your decimal, right? You gotta line up your decimal. So as we're setting it up, I'm a bigger number guy. So what number's bigger? 1.31 or 0.721? Alright? We got a whole number past the decimal. We have a ones place. We don't have a ones place here. So I'm going to put 1.31 on the top. And you know what? Let's use the same colors that I'm using over there. I don't want to confuse you guys. So we'll go 1. I got my red here. 1.31. All right. Now, when I look at 0.721, all right, where's my decimal? So I'm going to line my decimals up, right? Because we're going to line up our decimals. All right. So we're going to line up the decimal. All right. And then we're going to find our places. Because remember, this is and this is so I want my together. So I put my there. Then I've got hundredth and hundredth. I got 100th there. 200th. All right. And my 1000th. All right. Now, some of you, all right, and we talked about this. You're like, Mr. Hearn, there's nothing there. Right? Add a zero, folks. Add a zero. Don't make it any harder. Right? There's always a zero. There's nothing there, right? What is zero? Zero's nothing. Put it in there. All right? If you're one of those people that can't see it, go ahead and put the zero in there. Help yourself out. Okay? Then we're going to simply do the standard algorithm. How we've learned to add all the way up until 6th grade. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 7. Uh-oh. 3 plus 7 is 10. It's actually 0.3 plus 0.7, which is actually 1.0. So if we're going to add this in, the 0 is in the place, right? So I'm going to drop that big dog right there. And then what I got to do with this? I've got to carry that 1 over here. Right? And what did we say today? We said, how many days old are you? You're today days old when we realized, oh, that's why I carry that 1 over. Right? Yeah, we talked about that today. So I'm going to drop a decimal right here, and we're going to keep it red because that's the way we're working. All right? And so 1 plus 1 gives me 2. So now when I go back and I look at my original problem, 0.7, we'll say a half, right? So 0.3, 1.5 plus a half should give me close to 2. And there is my estimate of 2.03. So it looks like I put my decimal in the right place. Remember, guys, go back and use estimation. Help yourself out to see if you put your decimal in the right place. All right? A lot of you, when we were working in class today, we're having a very hard problem with this. All right? You guys were struggling with it. All right? So make sure you're lining up your decimals. All right? When I add and subtract, that's key. When I add and subtract, I line up my decimals. Remember, we played the little song. We had the song. All right? Played the song, and we sung the song about how we're going to line up our decimals. You guys laughed, and you go, oh, Mr. Hearn, this is so easy. And then we started doing the classwork, and then you were like, man, it's not so easy. Okay? I think we got all the way to what? Number 2 on the homework? All right? So guys, make sure, all right, make sure that we're lining up our decimals when we do our addition and subtraction. And if you have to annex those zeros and put those zeros in there, make sure you do it. Okay? All right. That's the lesson for today. Everybody almost got the work done, so hopefully you didn't have too much homework for the weekend. And I'll see everybody on Monday.